Hi guys, in the previous episode I showed you I bought this little radio controlled car in a charity shop for 99 pence. It's a drift car. This is the steering and the drive wheels. So it's driven by them and it's also turns to give it steering. I promised I'd take it apart and have a look inside. So let's have a look. Got these screws at the front, in there. Probably ought to turn it off. It says Kid Galaxy on it. It's the manufacturer. I think it says 2009, the date. (49 MHz). Fairly unusual. Most of them are 27 or whatever it is, 30, 35, I can't remember now. So, what have we got inside? Radio receiver. Steering does nothing. Well, I say does nothing, it'll just find its own position as the car's going round. It's not actually driven by the steering as such. Right. Do we really want to take this out? Well, let's have a look at this end first. Let's keep these screws separately. I notice these wheels just slop up and down as well. Well, there we can see the gearing. So at the top there we got electric motor and a gear on there. That's driving another gear. So we've got a reduction, small gear to big gear, and then in the centre of that gear, sorry I didn't show that to the camera, did I? Motor, small gear, big gear there. That's got a small gear in the middle of it that drives this crown gear that drives the axle. I just think we can lift that out. With a bit of luck, yeah. Oh, I can see a bit clearer now. So crown gear on the axle is driven by that gear. And that gear is part of the big gear, and the big gear is driven by the little gear on the motor. I've probably said that about 3 times now, haven't I? There's a couple of little screws in there that hold in the motor in. That's quite a small motor. That's the motor. And then at this end, I can see there's a half moon gear there that's going to be driven by the steering motor that's actually turning the whole of this round. You just see the end of that half moon. I'm not going to take that motor out, but we can see that's a relatively small motor. Put that back on. on. So I guess we need to take this off so we can see the steering. I can see there the motor. Oh, let's take it off. Alright, let's have a look. Can we get the... It's moving, but it's got all these wires on top of it, so it's not going to come straight out. Can we release the wires? I'm going to have to undo those as well. Right, well, that makes life a bit easier to see what's going on. Again, that's a relatively small motor. That's the steering motor. But still can't pull that off without releasing the wires. There we go. One. Because they're heated in place, they've melted the tops of the plastic there to stop it coming apart. Have we got enough there? Oh, we got enough there now. Wow, what a lot of gearing. It's a lot of gearing, and also what we've got in there is some metal contacts on the back of this circuit board, or whatever we want to call it. And I know what that will be. That will be so it can actually work out return to center. There's a metal brush there that makes contact with the circuit, so it can drive itself back round to the middle position, or the neutral position. wonder if I can get that off just so we can have a look at it. That's why there's so many wires on there, so it can work out its middle position. Alright, are we ready for this? If I could get those wires off there, I would, and then we got a bit more space, but I'd have to cut through the plastic. So lift this off carefully. That's the track to get it back to the middle. So that's the contacts that go through to the motor, and by going round there it will find its middle position or home position. So we've got a lot of gears there to do all that as well. That's the motor, that's driving a gear under there. Driving another gear, that's driving another gear, that's eventually driving this gear, which is driving the contacts round, and it's also driving that gear, that's driving that gear. That's that half moon one, that's actually the turning the whole steering. Let's get that back together before it all goes horribly wrong on me. I've just changed the battery on the camera because I bought some new batteries, but I think I've got one of my old batteries in there and it's flashing away out there telling me it's running out on me. So I'm rushing a bit now, trying to get it all back together before the battery gives up on me. Bits of wire back in. So there. So get in the way. Wheels have got to go. Oh, those wheels have got to go in there before I screw that back in place. Right, battery's going to go, so I'm going to switch off and do that. Right, just in case you missed what I was talking about, these wheels need to go in that slot on the side there. And then they're held in place and this bit goes down on top. Right, so that's all in place. And now those wheels slide up and down, but they don't come off the top. There, two little pegs it sits on. Wires in the way. That's better. That's in. That goes down in there. Right, nearly there. Turn it on a second. Right, put the lid back on.